Hey everyone, so welcome to Intro to WGS. I am Professor Bowen or Annie, whichever one you prefer. And I will be helping you guys and guiding you through this course. Today we're just going to talk a little bit about the syllabus. I'm not going to go over everything in the syllabus that is in every other class that you have. I will draw your attention to the reading requirements. It is this book right here, Gendered Voices, Feminist Visions by Susan Shaw and Janet Lee. It's a collection of a wide variety of different kinds of literary examples of feminist theory and feminist praxis, and critical examinations of our world. So you're going to see things in there like poetry. You're going to see things in there that are more academic, like writing styles. You're going to see some that are little collections of mini autoethnography type readings. And so you're going to see a different kind of reading for this class because we want it to be eclectic. We don't want it to be one kind of reading and solely one kind of reading, because that's not how the world works. And education should be accessible. So I will draw your attention to the course description. It's the same as the one that was in the when you signed up for the course. There are general education goals and student learning outcomes that are in there that are distinct to this class that you guys can read on your own. This is a fully online class, and it's asynchronous, so there's not a time or anything that you will have to be in here. And I've set up the modules for 2 weeks, so make sure you do not wait to the last minute and try to jumble in 2 weeks worth of class in 3 days. It won't work. However, you do have 2 weeks to fulfill that. So if there is something that comes up in your life or that you do have a heavy work schedule 1 week or one other, it gives you a little more flexibility with being able to manage outside responsibilities and class. And so that's really why I set it up that way. You will have to be in process with this class. You'll have to log in. You'll have to get on Blackboard. You'll have to do the readings and interact with some of the discussion boards and things like that. Like that's just part of it. If there is something that comes up, you get COVID, you have a family member that's sick, you're taking care of a sick kiddo, you have a job-related emergency, you have a you-related emergency, anything like that, just come talk to me. Even if it's not something like that, even if you're having just a really rough time for a week or something, or there's something in your life that's really bothering you, you do not have to tell me what it is, but I need to know that there's things that are prohibiting you from getting stuff done so that we can revise and figure out how to make sure that you are successful still in the class. I cannot accommodate what I don't know exists, and I have that written in several places. So I did want to draw your attention to that. The newest COVID protocols are in here, so make sure you just touch base with those. They're going to be in every syllabus you get, though, so you will have plenty of access to them. There are a plethora of helpful resources in here. I also have in your helpful links section a document called EKU resource or resources for EKU students, something to that effect. And within that, you're going to have literally everything, resources for everything you could possibly need academically or otherwise, for mental health, health related things, medically related things, things of that nature. So pretty much anything you could need is going to be in that document. And so I advise save it, print it off, attach it to your dorm room or your dorm's like lobby bulletin board or whatever. Those will have incredibly helpful resources to not just you, but anybody you might come in contact with. So again, that document is in your helpful links section, and you have a plethora of ones in here. There is technology requirements in the sense that you do need to be able to get onto Blackboard regularly. You will also be using a program called Flipgrid, where you can record yourself doing like little mini videos, essentially talking through some discussion boards instead of typing them out. If this does not work for you for accessibility reasons or whatever else, come talk to me. Well, don't come talk to me because I'm in Oklahoma and that's gonna be hard. Shoot me an email or set up a Zoom meeting and we can try to figure out and accommodate maybe something else that might work better for you. If you have Wi-Fi related issues in the area that you live, and or you run into them some point in the semester, again, try to shoot me an email using maybe your phone or using the library's computers. That way I kind of have touch base. If we have a weather related Wi-Fi issue, or just internet issue, power issue, what have you, in the area that you're in, and you don't have a way to contact me after you get it back, get power back or whatever, and we will get you all caught up and figure that out. It's not a big deal. But yes, so please give me a heads up if you're having technical difficulties so that we can kind of try to problem solve or figure out what we need to do to make sure that we can keep you relatively on task. There's plenty of things in here for late assignments, all of that, that you can look at. Again, if you touch base with me and tell me, hey, I've got this thing coming up, or hey, I am a student athlete and I've got a big tournament this weekend, or I have a big game this weekend, and it's gonna and we're traveling, so it's gonna be really hard to get this done by this date. Can I have a couple days? Sure. You just gotta talk to me, okay? So I want to go over real quickly some of the key things in your syllabus in the way of assignments, because this is important. This is where you get your grade. So you're going to have your module work, which is basically just going in, doing your readings, watching the lectures, that kind of thing. This will probably be one of the longer lectures that you have in the class, just because the readings are shorter, so my lectures won't be as long, and this has got all the pertinent information you need for class. So that's really going to have those. Again, those are set up in 2-week sections, and you'll have 8 of those through the course to get you through your 16-week course. You'll have your key concept quizzes for every single module. So all 8 of those will have a quiz at the end, which is just like key terms, key concepts. They'll be true or false, maybe a couple short answers at best, like nothing real big on those. And you'll have 3 attempts to do them, and that they only keep the highest grade. So there's that. Again, if you have technical issues or something, and for whatever reason they don't submit, or you submit on accident, or you want another chance, just get back to me and I can reopen it and we'll figure that one out. The midterms, halfway through the semester, module 4, you're going to have a midterm exam. That's going to be, again, very similar to your key concepts quizzes, except longer, right? So you'll have 50 questions. They'll be all multiple choice, true, false. I don't even think I'll put short answers in there because they're going to be mostly like real quick. I want it to be fairly quick. It's all of your quizzes, including your midterm, including the final. You'll have everything that you do in this class is open book, open note, open lectures, open whatever you need, because I want you, and they don't have time limits, because A, I don't think that's accessible, and B, because I want you to succeed. I want you to go find the answers if you don't know, because I want you to learn these things, right? The final exam is in the final module, and that's going to be a 3 essay exam. And the reason, normally it's 4, but I took one of the essays out because you will also have a letter to the editor style assignment that I'll talk about here in a minute, that the department is using as kind of a course assessment type situation through all of the intro courses. So everyone that is taking this intro course, not just with me, but with everybody in WGS, is going to have that same kind of assessment. And we're just going to kind of figure out if the course is working the way we want it to. But so the final exam will have the 3 essays. And again, those essays aren't going to be like, hey, I want you to write a 3-page essay. This is going to be usually 1 paragraph. I think there's one that'll be more than 1 paragraph, and that's it. And it's really just trying to, again, assess that you can do general things. Like one of the assignments is, like, one of the essays is, if you could create a social movement about a specific topic and force someone, how are you going to do it? And then it'll ask you other questions, prompt you other questions within that, so that you can kind of walk through essentially what you might want to do. So these aren't like, hey, take this specific theoretical framework from this person and attach it to whatever. This is going to be very much like, hey, throughout the course of this, you learned all of these things. How are you going to apply those? That is going to be a big, big part of what we do in this class, is trying to figure out how to apply the things we learn to the world around us, because that's what we're learning about, is the world around us. You're going to have discussion boards on Flipgrid. And again, those are just going to be, I'm going to give you some kind of prompted questions or prompted thing to respond to. And then I related to the module. And then I want you to go in and do it. And then and you're going to make a probably not even 5-minute video, but you're going to make a video answering the prompt. And then you're going to respond to someone else's. And the responses need to be more than, hey, yeah, I like what you said. It'd be more like, hey, yeah, no, I noticed this too in this part of this reading, and I read this reading instead, and it's connected to what you said in this way. Something to that effect, right? Like, I want there to be a conversation about different topics. And you guys can disagree. I will talk to you through about kind of modifying how language works. So make sure we're trying to use an inclusive language in the classroom, and we're not using any discriminatory language. And as we're learning, we're going to kind of talk a lot about language, just because that is such a key part of understanding our world and how our interactions with others work. The critical reflections are kind of these assignments where you're going to write a 3-paragraph summary kind of situation for me. The first, and you're going to take one article within either the first 2 modules, or the 3rd and the 4th, or the 5th and the 6th, or the 7th and the 8th, right? And you're going to do 4 of these during the course of the semester. And you'll take one article in those 2 modules that you read. You're going to summarize it in a paragraph. The second paragraph of this reflection is going to be you tying that specific article to a current event of some kind, either how you're in a classroom, and there's another video on how you explain this. And then the third, explaining this in more in depth instructions, and that's also in your need to know your folder that's helpful resources. And then the 3rd paragraph is talking about how you would take this information and use it in your future career or future interactions with others. So those are kind of just important, again, talking about how to apply the things we learn. And then the last thing are these module activities. And so the first 5 are just going to be 20-point assignments, and they're going to be little kind of thought-provoking activities. Like, we have one, the first module that talks about making your own survival toolkit, essentially, for that goes along with the reading. And then there's another one where you're going to go through and examine the editors of your textbooks, or the writers of your textbooks, and see their demographics, and see how those demographics, if those demographics are wide and varied, or if those demographics are pretty narrow and are very limited, and kind of talk about that, right? So there's the first 5 that you'll get are really not that intensive. They're going to be more shorter assignments. The last one is that letter that I was talking about earlier, that assessment piece that the department is doing. And I will give you there's very explicit instructions, and that will come in module 8 and be essentially part of that final, but it will be a separate submission, because those things have to be turned in separately. And so as you look through here in your course schedule, it's going to give you all of your readings. GV, FV is just the gendered voices, feminist voices, that's our feminist visions. That's just the textbook that you have. I gave you page numbers. I gave you exactly where everything is. When it says to pick one other article, I put the author's names of all the other articles that are within the chapter, or within the chapters that are for that section. And so you can pick any other one, because generally that's what you're going to take and use your discussion board about, and do your discussion board about. So that's just, you get to pick, because I didn't want to make it so that there weren't a variety, and that you couldn't pick maybe the poem that was in there if I didn't list it that week, because I tried to kind of vary it up. Anything that says BB next to it is going to be a Blackboard link. So things like my lectures and my slides are always going to be on Blackboard. Occasionally, you'll have a reading that also is on Blackboard that is tied into either another reading or an assignment that you're going to do. And so there's that. The steps to complete every module are also in your course schedule. And so it's very easy. Module 1, it'll give you due dates for everything. It'll give you everything that you need to succeed. I advise getting kind of a calendar laid out so that you have when everything is due. It's going to look like a lot because I have everything in there, like every little step. So read this, do this. And if you'll notice, some of the readings are only like 2 pages, 3 pages. And a lot of that comes down to these aren't all the readings aren't these heavy academic readings. Some of them are very personal, and they're accounts of the world and accounts to history through different lenses. And I think that that's important. So that's kind of the syllabus. That's kind of how it's laid out. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to come to me. Feel free to ask. I will kind of touch base again when we start module 1, which will also be this week, and just kind of go over how lectures are going to run. I'm going to do different kinds of presentations. Sometimes you'll get PowerPoint, sometimes you get Prezi, sometimes you might get something else. And really that just comes down to, I want to give you guys some examples of things that you can do and utilize as you move through your academic career. And as you present different things or have other assignments in other classes. But there is no big paper for this class. There is not really this big, huge thing, like big, huge project that you need to worry about. Really, it's a lot more carved into littler pieces so that it can be more manageable across the semester, as opposed to front loaded or heavy back loaded at the end of the semester. So I hope you all are excited. I'm excited. And I hope that you guys have a wonderfully easy and thought-provoking semester. Until next time, bye y'all.